Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio.
Hi, Zaron.
Hello, Elizabeth.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you? You look like you're doing well. Am I right? Is that a good read on my part?
I am well. You know what's ridiculous?
I do.
Tell me.
All right. You know how hockey, they allow fighting?
Yes.
Which I imagine you're probably not a fan of.
It depends on my mood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, are you familiar with the NHL's Washington Capitals team? They're a hockey team.
Okay, I believe you.
And so they have minor league teams in hockey, just like in baseball.
The lowercase?
Yes.
So the Washington lowercase? Did you see what I did there?
I did. I was trying to let it go.
Sometimes, Aaron,
I was going to skip.
Sometimes I'm so funny, and I don't even know what to do about that.
So their minor league team is the Hershey Bears.
Oh.
Yes. So you think of it had like a chocolate thing, but no, they're like Hershey Bears. Anyway,
Hershey Bears.
So the Hershey Bears, they were having a game. They just had to have this competition. They let some people out on the ice. And I'll kind of skip ahead to point out that the Bears had to afterwards release a statement that said, quote, "This did not reflect the values of the sport or the standards we expect when young athletes are on the ice." So apparently a bunch of young athletes got into a fight on the ice. And when I say young athletes, Elizabeth, it was an 8 and under squad from Pennsylvania.
No.
Playing inter-squad
threw down?
scrimmage between American Hockey League teams. And so while these like 8 and unders, the fight lasted for basically about a minute long. And there's all these clips because, everybody always records everything.
Yeah.
So the people at the Giant Center, they could be heard cheering. Particularly, there was the goalie, he delivered a hard hit to an opponent who was messing with his
And the crowd's cheering them on?
Under 8. These kids are under 8.
Oh, no.
And the goalie comes out of the box and just levels another kid. Crowd erupts, right? So and this is why the Bears team had to release a statement that, quote, "This did not reflect the values of the sport or the standards we expect." I was like, wait, hockey? You guys are all about the fighting. And then they had to add that little qualifier when young athletes are on the ice.
Yeah, for the little kids.
Apparently it's okay if you shave, you can then deck somebody. So
oh my goodness.
So there you go. I thought that was kind of ridiculous.
That is 100% ridiculous. Do you want to know what else is ridiculous?
Please, I love ridiculous.
Keepsakes and curios. This is Ridiculous Crime, a podcast about absurd and outrageous capers, heists, and cons. It's always 99% murder-free and 100% ridiculous.
You damn right.
I know I am. You know that show, Antiques Roadshow?
Yes, I love that show.
Yeah. Just to clarify before we start chopping it up about the show, let me explain what it is for non-PBS watchers.
Okay.
So,
probably fair.
Antiques Roadshow started as a British reality TV show.
Oh, really? Of course.
A BBC jam. And in that one, antiques appraisers appraise antiques brought in by local people all across the UK. Mm-hmm. They would talk about provenance, history, the value of the items, all those things. And it actually started as a documentary in 1977.
Oh, wow.
And then it became this regular show in 1979.
Because people loved it. They're like, well, can we get more of these?
Yeah, I want one a week. And they go, all right, here you go. So 1979 is when that kicked off. And then there are subsequent international versions all throughout Europe, North America, other countries, same format. So Roadshow was big. The British version was big in the U.S. on Public Broadcasting Service, PBS.
Yes.
Public television stations. So they created their own American version. Same format, local antiques owners bring in their prized possessions to be appraised by experts. The American version first aired in 1997.
Thanks to viewers like me.
Thanks. And Darlene Shiley. And it has been nominated 22 times for the Primetime Emmys.
Really? 22 times?
22 times.
That's crazy.
And so in the UK version, they set up shop at some grand manor, and it feels like you either get folks with very charming items that their families had passed down and also rescued from the Blitz.
Oh, right.
Or super blasé folks with very expensive art who should know better than to go flaunting that stuff on TV.
Oh.
have some grace. Don't be crass.
Oh, I thought you meant like they're making themselves marks for like...
No, but it's just like, darn well how much this is worth and what the story is behind it. You're just bragging on it.
I misread the intent. Okay.
That's
so
what
they
I'm
were
talking
basically like, can I have an expert just kind of like shine me off on TV?
Precisely. Then we have the American version. There are great segments where people bring in things that actually belong in a museum, like they get listed as priceless.
Yes, I love when I see that.
A lot of Native American and Inuit pieces are like that. Or the good ones where people who think they have a priceless artifact, but they do not.
I also love those.
They've been told some lie by a family member about how it was gifted to their great-great-grandma from a Chinese princess who was traveling through their town in North Dakota. And the appraiser's all, actually, it's circa 1986 from the Bombay Company at the local Westfield Mall. Love that. The best, though, are the ones where the person has something that they like and they think it's interesting, but they don't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
So maybe they like bought an item that they thought was cool at a garage sale, $3, like a bowl or something, or like a painting caught their eye at a thrift store and they paid $30 for it, or it was their grandma's and they always liked it, and then grandma passes away, they get it, always reminds them of her, sits on the side table in the living room. So they're just curious about how old the thing is or like any background it might have.
Just like, tell me the story of this object.
Yeah, they're not looking to get rich, but then the appraiser just like blows their mind and the thing is worth hundreds of thousands and they start to cry. Those are my favorite.
I do love those.
Those are good. So do you watch Antiques Roadshow?
My sister loves all shows where there's like either bargains or appraisals or anything like that. So she's like a big like shopper and she likes to like, she actually does really well. She finds things at places like, antiques, like antique houses, Goodwills, wherever, and she'll like be like, oh, this is, and because she watches these shows, she knows a ton of different things that are valuable. So shout out to my sister. I'm always impressed like how much she knows about these things. I dislike watching the human reactions, and then I like watching the experts kind of glaze people off, like be like going, oh man, this is really cool. This actually, because they tell them like the school of artists who made it, and then I learned something. Or else I also like it when it's like some personal like shame where it's like, this is actually a slave-made bracelet, so your family was likely,
like, those are brutal.
So I'm a little dark in my appraisals of the show.
When I was younger and we'd watch it, my brother would start scanning around the house. Like, what could I take? And we're just like, there's nothing of value here, Trav. There's absolutely nothing. You caught me watching an episode here at headquarters while I was eating my lunch the other day.
Yes, totally. And you slammed shut your laptop like you've been caught.
I was waiting for the interns to finish changing my oil. And I was like, it's just killing time.
It takes them so long.
Yeah. Because
did they top off your fluids?
They did.
That's good.
And air filter change.
Nice.
They're so on it. Because we Americans can't seem to do anything without grift and fraud.
Yes, it's two of our hobbies.
There's a reason I'm talking about the American version of Antiques Roadshow today.
There's crime.
There's crime. That's why we're here.
Yes.
So I've got 3 American Antiques Roadshow adjacent crimes for you today.
Okay.
Let's start with a couple of Civil War appraisers.
Ooh, yeah.
Russell Pritchard III and George Juno.
Okay.
So Pritchard, he's this 3rd generation antiques dealer from New Jersey. And he presents himself as an expert in Americana, ethnographic objects, especially Native American artifacts.
Okay.
And his family business background, and he has like this polished demeanor. They helped him cultivate incredible credibility.
I bet.
In the antiques trade.
It's a great place, I imagine, to establish that.
Yeah. His dad, Russell Pritchard Jr., was the former director of the Civil War Library and Museum in Philadelphia.
Huh.
So it's just in the family.
Yeah.
So he positions himself not only as doing, the Americana and such, he becomes a militaria specialist and appraiser by like the mid-90s. He was the co-owner of the American Ordnance Preservation Association, AOPA.
So like the cannonball finders?
I guess. They're like, save the cannonballs. Which was in the, quote, business of dealing in and appraising 18th and 19th century military items, and also serving, quote, as a consultant to various museums and libraries.
Okay, so if you got spent shells, call him.
Right. You're like, what's this gun do?
Yeah.
Like, no, put it down. So George Juno, he was an associate of Pritchard, and he was not a recognized antiques authority, but instead he just kind of worked with Pritchard in like acquiring and reselling objects.
So he didn't know like a claymore from a Clay Aiken.
Precisely.
Okay.
So Pritchard's the expert, Juno's just like the facilitator.
Gotcha.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, Antiques Roadshow had established itself as this widely trusted public television program. And they would do these appraisal events all over the U.S. Appraisers and guests were expected to disclose any conflicts of interest. And the items that they brought for appraisal were assumed to be owned by the person presenting them.
Yes. Yeah.
That's just part of the contract.
That's the deal.
So Pritchard and Juno, they would purchase valuable antiques privately at relatively low prices.
Oh.
And then they would present those same items on Antiques Roadshow like they belonged to some clueless owner who had recently discovered them.
They would have a shill, bring it on, and then they would appraise.
Yeah. So the televised appraisal.
That's kind of genius.
It would totally spike the object's perceived value and marketability. So to pull this off, friends of theirs appeared on camera as the quote owner. And then Pritchard used his insider knowledge of the market to select things that would be likely to receive high appraisals. Here's the thing. The show wasn't told that the items had already been purchased for resale and that the presenters had this financial interest in the outcome of the appraisal.
Yeah, of course not.
So in 1996, Juno and Pritchard had this guy named Steve come on, and he brought a Civil War sword.
Okay.
Now, behind the scenes, they told Steve what to say about the sword.
Do you think they had rehearsing it?
They had to have. He was supposed to come out and tell them that he used to cut watermelons with the sword when he was a boy.
That's what they came up with?
Yeah, they're like, okay, it would be so good. And everyone can picture it, and it's just so wholesome.
Yeah. It'll make you sound like a yokel when you don't know anything.
With a sword
cutting watermelon.
And back when I was knee high to a grasshopper.
You want more watermelon, Meemaw?
My arm. So Steve tells the story, and everyone, they all chuckle. But then they gasp when Pritchard and Juno revealed that the sword is actually worth a cool $35,000.
Dang.
Steve, he's gobsmacked.
I bet.
Acting. And so they didn't get any money out of this scam, but it was used to lay the groundwork.
Oh.
So this would get them more airtime on Antiques Roadshow so they could promote their business, American Ordnance Preservation Association.
They were just chumming the waters.
Yeah, at this point, laying the groundwork, chumming the waters. So another incident involved a Navajo chief's blanket, which is a highly prized category in terms of 19th century Native American textiles.
Sure, those patterns are crazy cool.
So Pritchard and Juno...
And unique.
Oh, yeah. They bought the blanket from its original owner for like $5,000. They didn't tell the seller that they were going to use it for a televised appraisal. And so the blanket is later presented on Antiques Roadshow as a newly discovered family heirloom. Like, look what we found in this chest. What is this thing? So during the broadcast, Pritchard is like, you know what? I would value it at approximately $350,000.
What?
He's like, it is so rare. It's in perfect condition.
Purchased for $5,000. $350,000.
So the episode airs, and it dramatically inflates the blanket's perceived market value.
Wow.
Viewers, they have no idea that A, the presenters already own the item, and that B, this appraisal is like directly benefiting them. So after the broadcast, the blanket gets resold for this huge profit, and then it's directly tied to the credibility and the exposure provided by the show.
Of course.
So they didn't do this with just the blanket.
I bet
they did it with a bunch of stuff.
Not when you get a score like that.
Investigators later identified multiple items that followed the same trajectory. Private purchase, deceptive on-air presentation, profitable resale. So Juno and Pritchard, they did attract new customers with that watermelon sword segment. And then they conned them all over again. They convinced the descendants of Major Samuel Wilson, who was a Civil War Union Army officer, to sell one of his swords. And they told the family that they were acting on behalf of the Harrisburg National Civil War Museum. And the sword's worth $8,000. And would they accept this offer? So Juno and Pritchard, they're like, the sword will be on display at the museum so that everyone can learn about your ancestor.
Huh.
The Wilson family, they're like so honored. They're like, yes, we agree to the deal. So they pay the $8,000 for the sword. Then they turn around and they sell it to a private collector for $20,000. Nothing to do with the museum. And there was an even bigger scam run on the descendants of George E. Pickett.
Like Pickett's charge?
Major general in the Confederate side during the Civil War.
Yeah, Gettysburg. Totally.
He was one of the commanders at Pickett's charge, thus the name. A, quote, futile and bloody Confederate offensive on the third day of the Battle of Gettysburg.
Oh, I watch Ken Burns.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So Juno and Pritchard, they set their sights on George E. Pickett V.
Okay.
So Pickett V had a sword and other items that the OG George Pickett had. And then Juno and Pritchard, they look at all this stuff and they're like, this is worth about $88,000. And Pickett V's like, dang, okay.
Yeah, I bet he was.
So they buy it. And then they turned around and they sold it all for $880,000.
Oh, they dropped a decimal point.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
Oopsie. So Pickett sued them in 1999. He got an $800,000 settlement from a jury.
Good for him.
But their time in court was just beginning.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Yes.
Meanwhile, over at Antiques Roadshow, the suspicions are rising because producers and outside experts are starting to notice these inconsistencies. So items appearing on the show later get traced to dealers rather than private owners. Similar objects resurfaced on the antiques market just after broadcast, and they're marketed with references to their roadshow appearance.
Okay, I was figuring, yeah, like as seen on TV.
Yeah, here's my favorite. The same individuals appeared repeatedly with unusually significant objects.
They used the same
That's
shells.
the biggest screw up.
They couldn't even
come up with characters and costumes, do some wig stuff. Like, I know these dudes are into wig stuff. Make up fun names and backstories. I mean, look, they did it with the watermelon. That's the best part of crime.
That is
Zaron.
the best part, seriously. The character work.
Yes, so PBS and the show's producers, they began an internal review. And once the concerns were solidified, they turned everything over to the feds.
Oh.
And they're like, we're not going to handle this internally. You do it.
Good for them.
So the U.S. Attorney's Office investigated these two for wire fraud because it was involved in interstate television broadcasting communications.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Of course.
So Juno and
That would be
Pritchard,
wire fraud.
they catch these federal charges, fake appraisals, wire fraud, federal mail. All of this was beyond what they'd done on TV. Like it went so much further than that. So Juno cut a deal for a reduced sentence. He testified against Pritchard.
I was just about to say, I know they flipped on each other.
And he got a 6-month sentence in a work release program.
6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he had to pay $30,000 as a fine. Pritchard, different story. He got sentenced to 1 year for the military antiques fraud. He had to pay that $830,000 in restitution. PBS responded publicly, and they were very decisive. They pulled those episodes that the guys were on. They tightened disclosure and conflict of interest rules, particularly around the dealers and their intermediaries.
Okay.
They also started to really emphasize that they don't authenticate ownership, and they're relying on honest disclosure from participants. And so that trust had been violated, but they want to remain trusting of the people participating.
And I don't know how you would have everybody, when you have them just showing up at basically an expo.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you prove up?
Yeah. So Pritchard, he did his time, but he didn't learn his lesson.
Dude.
He got pinched in Pennsylvania on theft charges, and he did time in a state prison. That was in 2008.
Okay.
In 2009, he copped a guilty plea to more theft charges, as well as deceptive business practices. And for that, he got another 4 to 8 in state prison.
Okay.
Let's take a break.
They're not giving him enough time for him to learn his lesson.
No.
He needs a longer timeout.
Let's take our own timeout. When we come back, more antique antics.
Hell yeah.
Zaron.
Elizabeth.
5, 6, 7, 8. Are you going to do your dance routine?
I was
People
already
can't see it though.
chair dancing over here.
So good.
That's why I had you count down. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be together. I wanted you to come in.
I just realized no one can see us.
When I did the dip, you were supposed to come in.
I just
whatever.
sat down on the ground. So we had that gruesome twosome of Russell Pritchard III and George Juno.
Uh-huh.
Now let's take a look, rather a double take, at some identical twins.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Lee and Leslie Kino.
Lee and Leslie?
Blonde twin antiquarians, authors, TV personalities, and almost fraudsters.
I was about to ask if they were both like sisters. You said they're identical, and I've made this mistake before.
Wait.
If they're identical, then they are both going to be the same split
sex.
gene. They're not going to be fraternal where they just shared the uterus.
Wait,
or the
when did
womb.
you said something like that?
Yeah,
and
one
I don't
time.
remember what happened, but I was like,
You're like, no,
crying,
that's not
laughing.
how that works, Zaron.
yeah. So, anyway, so Lee and Leslie is two dudes, and you would, if you see a picture of them, you'll recognize them from if you've ever seen Antiques Roadshow because they're about it. So they describe their collecting impulse as starting with like basic scavenging.
Okay.
So
like beachcombing or like?
Well, no, you'll find out. So, okay, they had the National Endowment for the Humanities did this whole profile about them because they got the National Humanities Medal at one point. And so
dogs.
they talked about how they grew up in upstate New York and they rode this Suzuki trail bike around to explore ruined barns and houses.
Oh.
So they start out collecting utilitarian architectural ironwork. From the late 18th century, early 19th century, like stuff like wrought iron door handles and hinges.
I got you. Hinges and like fire pokers and things like that.
Yeah. And so that early phase quickly became what they called training in the way that, antiques people mean it. So they find an object, they chase down the maker, the date, the method. In that same National Endowment for the Humanities account, Leslie talks about how they would research what they found, look all this stuff up, trying to understand exactly how things were made and get down to the mechanics of like a potter's lathe when they moved into stoneware collecting.
Yeah.
So by the time they were in college, they were already operating like working dealers.
Okay.
They're real party animals. So there was this Hamilton College news feature that came out in 2000 that talks about them, the brothers. They sold most of their crock collection to help pay for college.
Like crockware?
Yeah,
like cooking
like
stuff?
country crock.
I imagine they have a crazy sweater game, these two.
Oh my gosh, you had no idea. And the three-piece suits,
Yes.
get out of town. So these are wild boys, right? Like, let's sell our Crocs and go to college. So Leslie went to Williams College in Massachusetts. Lee went to Hamilton College in New York.
Okay.
So while they're in school, each of them cataloged their college's antique furniture collection. And so this was like the way that they educated themselves. Very practical, object by object.
Sure.
And it's super close to how specialists get trained in the trade, but they're doing it for themselves.
Yeah, just they're not apprenticing under somebody.
Right. So Lee, he served as a graduate fellow at Historic Deerfield.
Okay.
And then was a visiting scholar at this museum. And every place that he went was a key point for American decorative arts. So it put him inside all these collections, the connoisseurship of it all, that kind of feed the auction world.
Yeah.
Leslie, he got out of Williams College with honors in American art. So they have this educational pedigree, but they also go and they work in these places and gather real world experience. So they went from college into auction house work, and they both specialize in American furniture. There's this New York Magazine profile that talks about how after they graduated, the twins moved in together in Manhattan, and they took jobs at competing auction houses. So Leslie got a gig at Sotheby's. Lee wound up at Christie's.
Oh, like the auction houses.
Auction houses. And so while they were working at these rival houses, they sometimes found themselves going after the same stuff. And so they had to avoid talking shop in order to prevent conflicts.
This totally feels like the script of an 80s movie.
It totally does. So Leslie, and this happened in the 80s, Zaron, so right there.
Boom.
Leslie, he hooked up at Sotheby's in their American Furniture and Decorative Arts department as a cataloger in 1980.
Okay.
He becomes the director of the department in 1983. That's not bad.
Not bad at all. 3 years. Whew.
And then, he spent 26 years overseeing like the headline Americana sales at Sotheby's.
Yeah, like the big, like, oh, this is on our catalog cover. Okay.
Yeah. And so Lee, he worked as director of the American Furniture Department at Doyle Galleries and then went over to Christie's for their American Furniture Department.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Lee started Lee Kino American Antiques, Kino Auction. So, they have they are public facing authorities.
Yeah.
And they start making appearances on Antiques Roadshow. And the show's executive producer, Marcia Bemko, told the New York Times, quote, "Our audience fell in love with them and made them stars."
I mean, if they're at least bit charming as they seem.
And they are. They
have, not to borrow the word too greedily, but they have the provenance of what you would want for this type of expert. And then them being twins, I mean, just like a great story.
And so they're like the most influential figures in the American antiques market at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And their opinions carry serious weight. And they can affect market value and all these things. So 2016, though, things went a little sideways.
Uh-huh.
New Orleans auction galleries had an auction in April of that year, and the Kinos did something unusual. They each apparently wanted the same Turkish Angora carpet.
Okay.
So one of
the
twins was bidding online and the other was on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few opening bids, but then the brothers just racked it up back and forth, back and forth. In all, they bid against each other about 50 times.
Damn.
And everyone else dropped out. They kept going.
Just climbing higher and higher, like two fighter pilots.
Well, and the rug had a low estimate of $800.
Uh-huh.
Leslie snagged the winning bid at $14,500.
Whoa.
They bid it up.
That's like me in a fantasy football auction. just going higher and higher for the wrong player. I want Joe Burrow, damn it.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
He did not pay for it.
How did he
according
skip past that?
According to the auction house, this wasn't the first time they'd done this. So Lee, he bid $7,250 for an Italian painting that was supposed to go for $400.
Mm-hmm.
He also landed an antique bed for $1,600
mm-hmm.
That had only been valued at around $300. And on both of these auctions, the brother was the only other bidder.
Is this going to be like a reveal where you tell me there's actually not twin brothers? There's one guy who's been pretending to be both of them? That would be
amazing.
The whole time, working two jobs.
I wish, but no, I don't have that reveal. So they're bidding these up, but then not paying for it.
Yeah. Who's paying for them?
Time for the auction house to lawyer up.
Totally.
They filed a lawsuit.
When they don't pay, they just they walk out of the auction do.
Well, they're not even there. They're online. They're log off.
So it's like me at a county auction where they have cars for sale and I make a bid and I walk out.
And then you turn around and walk away.
I tell my grandfather who brought me there, look, I don't have the money. And he's like, what are you talking about? We got to go get it in the car.
That sounds like it's from experience.
It is.
So the auction house, they filed a lawsuit. They accused the twins of, quote, auction misconduct, which resulted in unjustifiably higher purchase prices of auction items.
Yeah.
So back at the auction with the rug, the brothers bought 244 items in total. And they ran up a bill for $400,000.
I was going to say, $500,000 easy?
Didn't pay the bill. Huh. And, quote, we have never had an unpaid invoice of this size, said Ashton Thomas, president of the New Orleans auction house.
And these are the faces of places. I mean,
these
this
are
is
the guys.
The experts.
Yes. So there was this other auction house, Camelot Auctions in Philadelphia, where they bought 89 items. Bill was $200,000, and they skipped on that one too.
Are they just compulsive bidders?
Well, they get confronted, and Leslie tells the New Orleans auction house that dual bidding was a mix-up, just like a silly misunderstanding.
I don't know how the mouse works on my computer.
He's like, we got excited, and then we just got confused.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. In an email to the auction house, this is what Leslie said, quote, this was a situation where my brother thought I was bidding on the lot and I thought he was bidding on it. We made a mistake, and I would hope that given the amount of property we purchased, you would forgive us for this mistake. And then, according to the New York Times, quote, the auction house recorded Leslie during the sale saying that he and his brother were buying auction items, quote, together. according to its court papers.
Whoa.
So when the New York Times approached the twins for comment, they were like, we're too busy for an interview. I'm so sorry. But they're like, we'll send you an email. Quote, they did not directly address why they had been willing to pay escalated prices on some items, except to say, as specialists in our business, we seek hidden treasures. And as researchers, we search for unique provenance of every object.
Wow.
What does that even mean? So why didn't they pay?
I'm so just
Well, first things
confused.
first, they didn't have the money. So for most of us, that stops us from trying to buy things.
Yes, I found that out at auctions.
You did. Their lawyer said, quote, it was a temporary issue of liquidity, unprecedented for them, but hardly unheard of in the auction business.
Okay.
So like translation, all these folks are sketchy.
Yes.
Right? But that's something we've talked about before, how like the art world and art auctions are such a cover for money laundering and shady business. That's not what I'm saying happened here.
No, that's what
not at all.
That's what Art Forum is saying.
I'm just making an observation. So eventually the twins paid part of the New Orleans tab. They paid $70,000 on it.
Okay.
And then they settled with the place in Philly. And then after a while, they made the New Orleans outfit whole. So everyone was taken care of.
Sure.
And they also told the New Orleans folks that they were going to sell, quote, literally a national treasure, end quote, of their own.
Why do they sound so much like influencers today?
I have no idea what it was, but I pray it had something to do with Nicolas Cage. Were they going to sell Nicolas Cage? Perhaps. Unlike the other guys, the Kino twins, they didn't lose their spot on Roadshow.
Roadshow?
You know how they say turnabout is fair play?
Yes, I've heard this.
Or in the words of Michael Scott, oh, how the turntables turn.
Yes, I've also heard that.
Well, we've got that. We've got that here. So less than a decade later, Lee Kino got a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah.
He got scammed at his auction house for north of $100,000. He said the buyer seemed legit. She won bids that totaled $5,000 to $10,000 worth of items at a time, and she paid her bills. So the buyer was this woman, Grace Liu. She then upped her game. She went after a huge lot of Asian furniture and decorative items.
Okay.
There was like a bronze libation cup that had the handle looked like a beast. Libations. A watercolor painting of a cat. And then this carved dragon, like a display cabinet with dragons all over it.
Oh, cool.
So it kind of reminds me of when my friend, the author Kim Wong-Keltner, she went on a buying spree, grabbing up all the kingfisher pins and such that she could find in order to keep them out of the hands of white ladies. Well, because like
just going around San Francisco.
Yeah, the pins were pieces that were broken off of these enormous ornate headdresses for sale to the West,
and so they make kingfisher them into birds.
Yeah, the feathers. So they're these like really beautiful, luminous, sometimes iridescent blue feathers.
Sure,
and they are inlaid into silver. Wow. And Kim took this personally. And I used to love going with her to antique shops and like little stores in Chinatown as she sought out new pieces. It was like the most righteous shopping spree. Amazing.
That is cool.
So anyway, and she would tell the owner, I need to make sure white ladies don't buy this. As I'm standing there, I'm like, yeah, don't let us. Don't.
We must be stopped.
We cannot be stopped. So anyway, Grace Liu. So she bought $178,450 worth of stuff. Kino let her walk off with it with the promise to pay later.
I was wondering. Okay.
And then he later told the New York Post, quote, I kick myself that I allowed it to happen. I've been in the business my entire life. This is the first time that this has happened. Is it though?
Yeah, really?
Is it? So a lawsuit filed by the auction house against Liu in Manhattan in 2021 says that Liu took about 40 pieces in July of 2020, paid $45,000, but then refused to hand over the balance of $133,000.
Okay.
She said she tried to resell some of the items and was told that they were like later copies.
She was like, I'll pay you a little less than 25% on this. How about
exactly.
that?
Deal. But then she's like, all right, let me raise some money. Some of the stuff I paid for, I'm going to turn around and sell it. And people are like, no, that's a reproduction. Yeah. And so then Kino's like, hold up. Now, ma'am.
I don't even know what to believe now.
Yeah. So then he's like, these were not represented as antiques from a particular period. This was just something that she assumed, is what I suppose he's saying.
So everyone's scamming everybody.
Everybody. And then he's like, she had the opportunity to examine every single piece multiple times over a period of weeks before she bought it. She wasn't done with Kino.
Caveat
bid
emptor.
at another of his auctions in January of 2022.
She came back
under a different name.
Oh my goodness.
And in this case, she plucked up half the sale. So auction house staff realized it was her.
These people are
and they
horrendous.
told her, like, all right, you know what? You have to pay your entire bill right now.
On the spot.
And then
Cash
they
on the
never
barrelhead.
heard from her again.
I bet not.
Maybe she just got excited, Lee.
Yeah, you know how it goes, Lee.
So Kino, he went to the New York Post to tell his story. He said, because she was like hitting multiple auction houses in the area and he wanted everyone on high alert.
Of course, that's what it
So,
was.
yeah.
This is public information.
According to the Post, quote, since 2020, she has bid on more than $230,000 worth of treasures sold by various auction houses through the live auctioneer's website and never completed the transactions. Among those she allegedly stiffed was David Killen, who runs an eponymous auction house in Chelsea. He told the Post that Lou was the winning bidder on about $13,000 in Asian objects a month ago and refused to pay for the goods or pick them up. Winning an item at auction is considered a legal agreement to buy it, he said. Killen said they would lose value if placed up for auction again. Can we go back again to the Kino brothers?
Please.
Yeah. I mean, hello. It's a legal agreement to buy it. Anyway, he goes on.
Yes.
Quote, people think, oh, there must be something wrong with it because the person who bought it never paid for it, he said. It gets what we call in the business a bad smell to it.
Oh.
In the biz, they call it a bad smell. So there's no
Seems fitting with antiques.
Right? There's no word on whether anyone got Lou to pay for all of her won bids or whatever happened with the lawsuit. But I think the twins, and then plus their older brother now does this too. I think they're all still rocking the roadshow. Let's stop for some ads from the good people at whatever product or services has bought time from iHeart. We thank them. And when we come back, Antiques Roadshow works for truth and justice. Zaron.
Yes.
All right. So we've had people who used the venerated Antiques Roadshow to enrich their coffers, up their status for negative gain.
Yes.
But what about when Antiques Roadshow helps out?
Other than splitting watermelon?
What about when they let their goodness shine through?
Oh, the show, Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, Zaron, have I got a story for you?
Yes, I love stories.
Do you know what a daguerreotype is?
Yeah, the first photographs.
Right. So it's a type of portrait photo developed in 1839 by the French chemist Louis Daguerre.
Yeah.
So creating the image...
The first selfie was a daguerreotype.
That's true. Creating the image involves chemically preparing a polished silver plate.
Yeah.
And that makes it a
printed on metal.
makes it a photosensitive surface. The surface is exposed to light and the subject, and then developed with mercury vapor, fixed with a solution of hyposulfate of soda.
Nice. You can go mad as a hatter while you're making a photo.
That's right. It makes those like moody, evocative pictures that are incredibly fragile.
Yeah, and also a little uneven because of the use of the chemicals. So you get those little dots on the edges and stuff.
Right. You have to keep them in like velvet-lined cases.
You can't touch them. You're
no,
not
you
supposed
can't
to
touch them
touch
because
the
it will
metal.
smear the image. Despite all that, they were an improvement over like the earlier attempts at photos. And for a decade or so, it was the hot
pretty much all
thing.
you had, yeah.
People loved them, but then a new process came along, a simpler, cheaper, more resilient photograph. And just like that, daguerreotypes were a thing of the past.
Like the Nickelodeon.
Oh, yes. But that made them collectible.
Oh,
To this day, they are in demand for like history, photography, and antique buffs. So they get daguerreotypes on Antiques Roadshow every now and then.
Okay.
And the guy to get as your appraiser for those is a fella named Wes Cowan. So Cowan, he's an anthropologist, he's an auctioneer, he's an appraiser, and he knows daguerreotypes.
Nice.
Sally Guest, she lucked out when she went on Antiques Roadshow.
As a guest?
As a guest. Sally the guest. She's something of a daguerreotype expert, or at least like a collector.
Oh, okay.
She knows how to research them. She has a huge collection, almost 450 of them. And she's always on the hunt for interesting ones. And she stumbled upon one in particular and was really intrigued. So she bought it. did a little research, had like a vague sense of the subject of the portrait and the age, and that's about it.
Okay.
So off she went to Roadshow to get some answers and show off her cool find.
Yeah, good for her.
Zaron, close your eyes.
Yeah, my eyes are closed.
I want you to picture it. It's July of 2004, Omaha, Nebraska. You've brought with you to this crowded convention center a neon Moosehead beer sign that you found behind a dumpster about 20 years ago. It still works. It hangs in your garage, but you rarely plug it in and light it up. You don't want to use up all the juice. You're standing in line to get it appraised by the Americana and advertising specialist. People all around you chat and laugh as they wait to see if what they've brought today is some sort of lost treasure. In the meantime, you watch as folks with fancy stuff get set up at special tables in the middle of the room and get filmed for the actual show. You wonder if that will happen to you. You just never know. You look over and you see that blonde appraiser guy, Lee Keno, giving a man all the details about the Chippendale desk he brought with him. It looks fancy. You can't quite hear what they're saying, but it's cool to watch them under the stage lights. You move up a little in the line. There's a guy with some old baseball memorabilia being interviewed by the appraiser. He seems excited when the final value is revealed. Man, this thrill is infectious. It's not even your stuff, but you are beaming for the man. You move up a little more in the line. You're usually pretty impatient standing in line, but this is just too interesting. There's no way anyone could get bored here. You do feel a little bad for some of the people who are carrying around what is most certainly junk, but maybe they're like you. They're just enjoying being here. What if the neon sign, though, is worth a couple thousand, you think? Man alive, that would be amazing. Across the hall, someone drops a ceramic vase. It shatters on the floor and the crowd gasps. Whew, that's a shame. One of the dangers of bringing these treasures out of the house, especially with nervous, sweaty hands. The line you're in snakes around, and you find yourself right next to an on-camera appraisal. You stand just outside of the camera shot, but you're close enough this time to hear everything. A kind-faced woman in an embroidered t-shirt and a short salt and pepperish haircut sits across the table from a man in a pale gray suit. You recognize him as Wes Cowan. He's always got cool Civil War appraisals and stuff like that. The man knows history, and you respect that. In between them, on a tiny lacquered wooden stand, sits one of those old-timey photographs, the ones in grayscale, Civil War-looking things. The guy in the picture looks kind of familiar. The lady said she was browsing in a, quote, antique/junk shop in Walnut, Illinois, when this daguerreotype caught her eye. Daguerreotype, that's the name of those things. She says there was a stack of pictures in the shop, but this was the most interesting one. She collects them, see, and this one looked sort of special. And she thought she recognized the guy. Edgar Allan Poe. Poe, that's the guy. She tells Cowan that she paid $96, including tax, for the photo. That's a pretty penny, you think. But she's a collector, so she must know what it's worth. You doubt she'd get scammed. She tells Cowan that she's proud of it and has it on her mantelpiece at home, even though, as she puts it, Poe, quote, is not the best-looking man. Cowan confirms everything she says, tells her it's a daguerreotype of Poe, and that's pretty rare. He says only 6 photographs of the guy were known to exist. He tells her there's a little damage to the face area, probably from someone wiping it with their finger. The lady backs this up and talks about how delicate these things are, that you can't even blow on them. Yikes. Cowan looks thoughtfully at the picture and then announces its value at between $30,000 and $50,000, conservatively. Your jaw drops. The lady is overjoyed. I liked the picture anyway, but now I really like it, she says. Cowan tells her that if this thing went to auction, a ton of people would want to bid on it. Great day in the morning. This is a find. You feel so much joy for the woman. That's what this show is all about. You finally make your way to the appraisal table. The expert looks over your sign, plugs it in to confirm it still works, looks at the back and the bottom. She hands it back to you and tells you it's worth about $300. You could cry. This is amazing. I found it behind a dumpster, you tell her excitedly. She smiles warmly at you. Isn't that the best place to find a treasure? She responds. You thank her and then head out to your car, your prized Moosehead sign cradled in your arms. You are walking on air. Thank you, Antiques Roadshow, and thank you, PBS.
Yes.
So a cool story, but rather uneventful as roadshow tales go, right?
Possibly.
We're going to fast forward a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Sally Guest, owner of the daguerreotype, decides she wants to sell it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. It's worth quite a bit. And the estimate of value from Antiques Roadshow just wasn't enough. She needed to get it authenticated.
Yeah.
To prove up that it actually is Edgar Allan Poe, since that's where the value really is.
Yeah.
So she reaches out to the Edgar Allan Poe Society in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
She sends them a copy of the daguerreotype. They reach out to a specialist, this artist and historian named Michael J. Deese. He wrote a book called The Portraits and Daguerreotypes of Edgar Allan Poe. Right. So I think we call that a specialist.
I'd say he's the expert, yeah.
Yeah. So the Poe Society contacted Guest and told her that it looked like her daguerreotype was the real deal.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, it's actually a photo of Robert Todd Lincoln.
Well, here's the thing, though. It looked familiar to Deese.
Uh-huh.
He actually recognized it pretty much immediately.
Huh.
And because there weren't that many of these daguerreotypes of Poe, he wrote the book on them.
Yeah.
So remember how there was a smudge or a scratch on the face of the image?
Okay.
He'd seen that before. In fact, of the there's only a handful of these
That's
in
what I
existence.
figure, yeah.
Only 2 had this slight flaw.
Huh.
And he looked closely at the copy, and he's like, I've examined this one before, back in 1981.
Whoa.
He handled the real thing when he was doing research for his book.
Okay.
And then it was at the Hamden Booth Theater Library in New York City, a private collection inside the Players Theatrical Club.
If you say so.
That's how they do it at the Players Club. Rubbing the toes on a mink rug and such, at least according to Rappin' Forte in his hit Players Club. Hold on. I'm being told that's a different Players Club. Okay, so I'm glad we got that cleared up.
The interns are so helpful.
Their interns are just waving and thanks guys.
Good job, y'all.
So Deese called the library and he asked about the daguerreotype. Guess what? Theirs was missing.
What?
Yeah. So meanwhile, Guest had contacted Cowan to tell him that she wanted to sell the daguerreotype and she wanted his help with it. And he's like, yeah, sure, of course. So he picks it up and takes it to his auction house's office in Cincinnati. And it's around this time that the episode actually airs. And that's when Cowan gets another call, this time from the FBI.
Yes.
So Special Agent Joanna Looney from the FBI's Manhattan office let him know that the daguerreotype that he checked out for Guest on the show was stolen. And it had obviously crossed a few state lines since being lifted. So Cowan, he's a little rattled. He calls Guest and he's like, you know what? Sit tight. The feds are on the way. So then Special Agent David Bass of the FBI's Midwest Art Crime Team.
Bass and Looney?
Bass and Looney. I know. Are you kidding? Shows up at the office in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm here to take custody of the daguerreotype. Give me Poe. And what's crazy.
I love that it's the guy who invents the detective book.
Here's my favorite. Deese hadn't contacted the FBI.
What?
The FBI saw the episode and ID'd the daguerreotype as the stolen one, which means it's someone's job at the FBI to watch Antiques Roadshow and keep an eye out for possibly hot goods.
Oh, wow.
Who knows if they still have that position, but I would be very good at it.
So you don't think they're at home watching it and they're all of a sudden they just drop the remote like, wait a minute.
I think that someone gets the episode and they just start typing stuff in every time.
Probably. I mean, I'm always blown away by how people have to do these jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the FBI has people. I mean, you hear about how the CIA has people reading books and know.
Exactly. So the feds wanted to get their hands on the daguerreotype to officially authenticate it.
Okay.
But here's the thing. The daguerreotype wasn't on display at the library. It was in the archives. And the last known sighting of it was when Deese gave it the once-over for the research
for
in
an
his
81
book.
Or whatever, yeah.
Library couldn't pin down exactly when it was stolen.
Deese stole it.
I wish. So they're like, we know it was stolen, but it just in the last 30 years.
Okay.
Because I guess 20 years. Because there was no hard timeline for this theft, the feds were like, well, we can't really file charges against anyone. So they could prove that Guest had indeed bought the daguerreotype at the shop in Iowa.
Okay.
So she's cleared.
So she's clean. Okay.
And then it didn't look like the shop owners knew that they were trafficking in stolen goods.
So they're doing like a reverse provenance Maltese Falcon style of like.
Yes. But the owners of the shop, they couldn't pin down how they wound up with the photos. So there's all these dead ends. Guest had to turn it over to the library.
Yeah, I bet.
And so she called it a donation, but there wasn't a whole lot of choice in it for her. And so while it was worth 30 to 50,000, she'd paid less than 100 for it. So she's not like left, in debt.
And does she get like a $30,000 tax credit for the donation?
I don't know.
Or does she get a $300 tax donation?
100 if she paid 100.
Oh, right, 100.
So yeah, I don't know. But she was cool about the whole thing.
Good for her.
I mean, she's a little irritated, but she understood the situation. She said, quote, "I'm glad the piece is hopefully where it belongs, that they will take care of it, and that people will eventually get to see it." Mm-hmm. And so it was eventually authenticated. The FBI returned the daguerreotype to the library in New York City on November 8th, 2005. According to PBS, quote, Raymond Wemlinger, the library's curator, confirmed that the Poe picture is once again back in the library's possession and, after an absence of many years, available for viewing by qualified researchers.
Like, bring your white gloves.
Yeah. Well, it was. So
Are you kidding me?
Just a few months after that, the library put the daguerreotype up for auction at Sotheby's.
They sold it.
Winning bid?
How much?
$150,000.
Wow.
So
well,
I'm guessing
museum's got bills too.
Sally's probably feeling less charitable about the whole thing at this point.
Bet.
She's like, as long as it's in a museum. Oh, no, it's not. So, Zaron, what's your ridiculous takeaway?
I mean, these are all great stories, but I love that the Edgar Allan Poe story at the end with basically the guy who invents the detective novel.
Yes.
There is a whole mystery about his photograph, which is the craziest evidence they have. Because photographs, as you know, is where we start to get the unreality between like 1839, when you invent the photograph, essentially, all art changes, especially painting in particular, and you get start getting abstract and more expressionist and all that.
Right.
The art no longer has to portray a scene, right?
Yeah.
So now they're all free. It's basically like what Einstein did with like general relativity, where all of a sudden, or like Freud did, where all of a sudden like we don't know what to believe anymore. It's like, oh, everything becomes interpretive.
Yeah.
So I love that. That somehow Poe is tied to that history.
It's so perfect.
It is so beautiful. That's my ridiculous takeaway.
That is amazing. You know what we should...
What's yours?
Oh, my takeaway?
Yes, Elizabeth.
Oh, I didn't know you were interested in such a thing.
No, I know I don't always ask, but I'm always interested.
My takeaway. I think that the appeal of Antiques Roadshow, like we talked about all the different kinds of appraisals that happen on the show, but this notion of that you could stumble into something that is worth far more than you would think. And you were talking about how your sister can identify all these things like based on what she's learned. And one of the things that I learned is like never refinish furniture.
Yes.
So it'll look all beat up and they're like, no, you don't want to clean this thing.
Same with coins.
Yeah. So it's like all these little things, and then why that is that you have to have the patina and the look of age and such.
Let the accumulated age be there.
And I think for me, sometimes I don't understand its appeal to me because I am not someone who saves anything.
That's why I don't clean anything, because one day these will all be antiques and they'll be really valuable.
But you collect a lot of stuff. I don't collect stuff.
I have penny collections, and right now I'm trying desperately to get a 2025 penny so I can have the last penny.
Oh, all right. So if anyone out there has a 2025 penny,
I would
let us
love
know.
a 2025 penny. They're hard to find.
See, you're a collector guy.
Yes, I am.
So, I think like I'm not a collector, but I love watching the excitement.
What does it for you? Just the human moments?
Yeah. And I think like sometimes it's when someone gets, the wind taken out of their sails because they think that they've got, they know
special.
everything. But I really do love the moments where people are just totally stunned. And it's just, I loved this bowl and it, it's weird looking and it's crazy, but I love it. And like you were saying too, learning about the various schools of art and
because you're like, maybe you have the big story in your head, you're always adding different chapters too. So when you learn about something like that, does that like make you feel some kind of way?
Oh,
where
certainly.
Like, oh, this is the Adirondack School of Shaker furniture.
It's another arrow for the quiver.
I got you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's have a talk back to celebrate this.
Cheers to that.
Talk back. Oh my God, did he just say that?
OMG.
So I learned recently that I can't listen to your podcast while I'm working out because I start laughing too hard. The most recent time that this happened was when I was listening to the Johnny Cash episode and you were talking about banana wins. And Elizabeth said, this album will knock the fruit out of your banana wins. And I started laughing so hard that I actually fell off of the pull-up bar.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for
My
sharing
work
that.
here is done.
That's a great confession.
That's so great. I love it.
Good on you, Elizabeth.
Oh my gosh, that's it for today. You can find us online at ridiculouscrime.com. We're also at Ridiculous Crime on both Blue Sky and Instagram, and we're on YouTube at Ridiculous Crime Pod. Email us at ridiculouscrime@gmail.com, and then most importantly, leave a talkback on the free iHeart app. Reach out. Ridiculous Crime is hosted by Elizabeth Dutton and Zaron Burnett, produced and edited by auctioneer to the stars Dave Kustin, starring Annalise Rutger as Judith. Research is by vintage hot dog authenticator Marissa Brown and basketball memorabilia specialist Jabari Davis. The theme song is by composers and performers of the Antiques Roadshow alternate theme song Thomas Lee and Travis Dutton. Post wardrobe is provided by Botany 500. Guest hair and makeup by Sparkle Shot and Mr. Andre. Executive producers are hopeful thrifter Ben Bolin and garage sale enthusiast Noel Brown.
Ridiculous crime.
Say it one more time.
Ridiculous crime.
Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.